Mark out Mania. Mark out Mania. It's Saturday morning and we're marking out on Mark out Mania. Ooh, yeah.
What's up? Mark out Mania Saturday
Mark out
morning.
Mania, baby, Saturday morning. What's going on, fellas?
Hola, guys. What's going on? Y'all
We
ready to
already, we already having fun even before we start airing live. Look at that. It's amazing.
I was trying my best not to laugh during the song because of what we were talking about just before we went on.
This is always a fun time.
Yeah, that was some good stuff. That was some good stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Woo.
So this week we are talking about interactions with pro wrestlers and us as fans being at live events.
Oh yeah. Fun times.
Zeus, you got this going last episode.
Yeah, man. I just saw the Ric Flair. I just saw the picture that you posted on Twitter, Zeus. The 4 fairies. That is hot.
Yeah. All right. So
holy moly, I'm seeing it now.
The 4 fairies.
Right. Give us
only Sid Barry on and Rick, and oh my God, look at that big cheese smile on his face.
So, all right. So for take you back, you got to go back in time here. So remember, Tully and Arn left WCW and they went to WWF.
Right.
Well, when they when they came back, it was supposed to. They were all in the building. It was Rick, Tully, Arn, and Ole. They were all in the building that night in Texas, in Corpus Christi, and at that Clash of Champions, and they were supposed to all come back out together. Well, Tully had failed a drug test before he left WWF.
Right, I remember that.
And so WCW offered him this ridiculously low ball number, and Tully was extremely insulted and left. And so they had to juggle everything, and Sting ends up joining the Horsemen that night. So it was, it was all this, craziness and everything. And I was just like, man, I'm like, Sting is not a Horseman, And of course, that lasted for about a week and a half.
Yeah.
And then they turned on him and everything. Well, then after that, they brought in Sid Vicious. And I was like, Sid Vicious is not a Horseman. He was the biggest, to me, it's like he was the biggest waste of just overall talent that you could imagine. I mean, I was like, everything that everybody said he did well, he just stood around and just plodded around. He was just slow and terrible. And I was like, man, this four horsemen sucks. These are just 4 fairies. And I was like, screw them.
That was almost a new storyline every week at that time.
Right. And so, so I made this poster to take to, live events and, great big yellow sign. Who likes yellow? Yellow is a cowardly color. And put the 4 fairies up there, and that's what that's what the faces did back then. It's like the 4 horsemen put the hand up, the faces would put the fingers down, make it look a little effeminate. So we go to Greensboro, and it's an event in 1990 before the Halloween Havoc card.
Right.
And I got I saved all, like I told you guys, I'd buy the magazine so I could save the card inside. And so it's October 5th, 1990. And the second highest match on the card was Doom, NWA World Tag Team Champions, against Ric Flair and Arn Anderson.
Butch Reed and Ron Simmons.
So, they were in the middle of, a real heated rivalry at the time. And so Doom comes to the ring, Big Butch Reed, Big Ron Simmons, Peanut Head, Teddy Long, and then Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. Of course, we're in Greensboro, so there's a lot of Ric Flair fans, Four Horsemen fans there. I mean,
yeah, man, it's Ric Flair country.
Yeah. And we're in the second row, okay? And I'm holding up this sign. And Gary Michael Capetta does the ring introductions. And just as soon as he's done, he doesn't even have the microphone away from his mouth. Ric Flair comes up, snatches the microphone out of his hand, comes over to the edge of the ring, points at me, and says, "Hey, you, the maggot with the sign." But he didn't say maggot. The word he says rhymes with maggot.
Holy shit.
And I mean, it's the entire Greensboro Coliseum is just, and John Hitchcock and all those Four Horsemen fans, they're right in front of me.
Oh man.
They're in front of me. I'm paralyzed with fear at this point. I'm like, God, if I pull this sign down, I'm going to get it even worse. But he keeps going. He's like, let me tell you something. He's like, you're just nothing but a punk kid. He's like, and you see your woman right there beside you. He's like, I ought to take her home and make a real woman out of her. I mean, oh man. I mean,
Zeus is getting, oh my God, he's getting X-Pac heat. He's getting X-Pac heat.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's like, if I find you, if I find you after the matches, I'm going to take that sign and I'm going to shove it up your ass. I mean, he was pissed. He hated that sign. And so he just lets me have it. Well, that night, they had TV crews there for WCW, and they showed a little bit of the end of that match on, like, the main event or, whatever the Saturday show was not long after that. And because it just degenerated into just big double count out, double DQ, because they're just beating the crap out of each other. But that was a really, really heated match. And I mean, I don't know what the reaction of Arn was, or Teddy Long, or Ron Simmons or Butch Reed. I don't know what any of them look like, because I was stuck right there staring at Ric Flair, just, I mean, less than 10 feet, I mean, like linear 10 feet away from me. I mean, just giving me shit. He just really, I mean, just that look, just hated me. Just, I mean, and then like you saw in that other photo I posted last week, well, he started out with Arn in the ring first. So he's, looking across the ring at me with that look like, son of a bitch. It's like, I mean, he hated me. He legitimately hated me that night. So
that was awesome. You were getting like ultra heat from Flair. That's amazing.
Oh yeah. Heat from Flair, man. And John and all those guys were giving me shit too.
Oh yeah, I could imagine. You were getting it from all over the place in Greensboro. He was the most hated man in Greensboro that night. Zeus.
Yeah, I mean that was it. It's a good mix of fans, but I mean to be right in front of those guys, at that particular time with that particular sign, and sometimes you just don't, you're like, well, how's this going to go? And it's like, you think, well, they don't react to anything like that, but boy, he did. He really did. He probably wouldn't have done that if that had been on TV.
Exactly. That's hot, man. I mean, that's and you could only get that from live events.
Exactly.
You can never get that at TV tapings.
On televised events.
Yeah. You can never get that at a TV taping or a televised show or et cetera, et cetera. Only on the house, like only in the old school house shows they would do stuff like that, And that's why people have to go to indie shows are best for that. I mean, you get so much fan interaction. It's just awesome. It's awesome. Watching it on TV is one thing, but being there in person and like having personal interactions is totally something completely different. Well, unreal.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the most hated man in Greensboro, Zeus.
oh
He's
yeah,
got another
definitely. And
T-shirt now.
Yeah, I found a T-shirt. That's it. That's a new T-shirt.
and I tell you, and another just like a follow up to that is I was going to East Carolina at the time too, and I managed to save the sign. We took it back to a house show in Greenville, and that's where the photograph from the newspaper came from, because when WCW came to Greenville, that was like the first time wrestling had been there in like 20 years. So it was kind of a big deal. So they did an article about it, and me and my poster were right there on the front of I think it was the entertainment page of the Daily Reflector down there in Greenville, North Carolina.
That was awesome.
He hated it too. He hated it when he saw it again that night too. It was
Did you have any reservations leaving the arena?
quickly. That was the reservations we had.
You were like, I'm out. Let's go fast.
Right. But I would take garbage bags, and I still have a lot of my old posters. I'd take a garbage bag and put my my posters in the bags when I wasn't holding them, because there'd be so much soda and beer on the floor.
Yeah.
That, you know, if you wanted to continue to use it, it wasn't going to last long.
That's awesome.
So
that is awesome.
That's my marking out Mania memory for this week.
You're the NWA magnet, because we get abused by everyone. Zeus getting abused by every member of the Horsemen. He got his arm broken by Arm. He's getting cursed out by Flair. What's next? You're going to get an actual brain buster by Tully? I mean, what's going on over here in Greensboro?
Man. It was a magical place.
I'm saying. I got to go up there. I got to hang out with you.
Man, I'm gonna be marking out about this for a long time. That's
an excellent story. Zeus. Excellent. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I could never forget something like that.
Oh no, I mean it really was, and I mean especially the way he started out. I mean, just it's like, because I mean literally, it's just like it was like a blur from there. Because I mean, you're not expecting that at all.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I was like, because I mean, now the only thing I could think of was like, God, if I don't keep holding up this sign, then I'm gonna look really weak, and it's gonna be even worse. So that was, like I said, that was a pretty amazing, and I'm so glad I still got I got these photographs and other things to help remember by, and it's great to have you guys to remember with.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thanks for sharing that, because that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's an excellent story. Excellent.
The pictures like the one from last week of Ric Flair like glaring at you, to the picture you posted this week, like just a bit ago, of the poster. It's like, and then the story. This is just like the best thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, because I mean, sometimes you just get lucky with a little bit of corroborating proof here and there.
I would have shit my pants. I was like, honey, run, Flair's coming for us.
Oh, yeah. So, who's next?
Oh my God.
I'll go next,
co-main event is Pedro this week.
Yeah. My story cannot touch that one. First off,
I don't think any of our stories can touch that one.
Let me diffuse expectations right now.
Yeah, I know. Same here. I'm like, don't get too excited now.
I do want to make two notes real fast. When you said the main event, or WC or NWA and whatever main event, was that the one that came on? They had a show. It was like an hour long that would come on Sunday afternoons, and the opening song would be like these close-up shots of all the title belts. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, that stuff was originally from that was footage they kind of remixed from the first Clash of Champions.
Yeah,
right.
And
Right.
yeah,
That was the TBS show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they
TV.
would.
Yeah.
That's where they would show the great, the looks of the close-ups of the different title belts.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
and
forgot
then they
it was.
remixed that into the main event show.
Man, I used
Oh.
I used to love. I would watch just for that opening, just to look at the belts. 'Cause
Oh yeah. I mean, even the Western States Heritage title looked good, even though there's only.
That was the most useless title, but it was so pretty.
That's true.
Like, damn,
that
we gotta
title
give
meant
Barry-
absolutely nothing, but it was so pretty looking though. It looked nice. It looked nice on Barry.
Yeah.
It did.
Well, it's like okay, all right, we gotta give Barry something. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
We want to make Barry look good. We want Barry to be the champion, and then Larry Zbyszko beat him for it.
Larry Zbyszko.
He pretty much killed it.
Western States Heritage Championship. Wow.
The other note I was going to say was hearing you talk about your care of your signs and stuff. When I went to a Raw broadcast from November of '98, I made this sign of Pikachu as Steve Austin, and it said Pikachu 316 says Pika Pika Pika. And
you guys just want to get your asses kicked by people, don't you? You guys want to get beat up by Flair and Olsen. Look at you guys.
I don't think it made it on the actual broadcast. I was on the floor. We had like floor seats for that show, but it was on they taped the Los Super Astros before the Raw, and it was on like 3 different times in that episode. You could see my sign.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's hot. That's hot.
And then when I went to that ECW show in 2000 in Houston, I did a sign of Pikachu as Tajiri, and it didn't make it on the show either. But like on the RF home video thing, the RF
the RF video,
yeah,
it was there several times. But
yeah. They
a lot of things make it to RF video.
Yeah, the RF video guys. They came. They got every one of my posters at the Winston show I was at.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So I was like, well, hell, I was like going. There wasn't much doubt I was going to get that VHS tape, but there sure as hell, after zooming in on every one of my posters, yeah, they pretty much.
All right, Tech, so what's your story? Hello?
Pedro. Did we lose Pedro?
Did we lose Pedro?
I don't know.
I think he's trying to. I think Pedro's about having some little technical difficulty.
What? While we're waiting for Pedro to get back on, Pedro. Barely sounds like you dropped your phone in the water.
Yeah.
Oh no,
there you go. There you go.
It's my microphone. I'm starting to worry. My microphone's having issues. But
I was like, did Steve Austin just hear that story and you just stun him?
He hit me with the stunner. Okay, so it's a WCW. It's the second house show I saw of them here in Huntsville, Texas, at the Johnson Coliseum. It was not as like March. I think it's early March 1999. There's a match. It was Kidman was defending the cruiserweight title against Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrero in a 3-way match.
Juventud.
Nice.
And first off, the match. This is one of like the very best matches I ever saw live. Was this 3-way match? And for a while, it was memorialized at the stadium, like on the campus of Sam Houston State University, because at one point Rey Mysterio went through a table, like ass first. He I can't remember what happened, but he fell through the table, and they had in this glass case, they had that broken table there with pictures of the stuff happening. So they had that up there for years. But by 2007, they got rid of it. But it was there for a long time. But anyways, during the match, there's a point where everyone did dives out of the ring. I mean, obviously, there's a point where everyone did dives. And
cruiserweights put on a show.
I'm kind of a goofball, of course, and so I yelled out because Charles Robinson was the referee, and I yelled out, Charles Robinson, you should dive too, plancha too,
Little Nate.
and I didn't think he was gonna hear me, but he heard me, and he looked up with this look of surprise, and he was like, me, and he's like pointing to himself, me. And then he kind of looked out, he peeked over the ropes, and he's looking at everyone on the floor, and then he's looking for a moment, and then he shakes his head no, and shaking his hands no, he wasn't going to do it. But yeah, that's my lame story.
Who doesn't like Little Nate? He was the man, Charles Robinson. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was definitely the blonde son of Tommy Young.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the Nature Boy, number one referee after Tommy Young.
Did you like that storyline when he started wearing the ropes to the ring and all that? I thought it was ridiculous.
Oh,
At first it was cool, but it got real ridiculous.
There was so much stupid in WCW from about 1998 on.
Yeah.
Didn't that storyline, didn't he end up getting legit injured against the Macho Man?
He did, didn't he?
I believe he did.
I know he did get injured at some point. I don't remember how it happened, but I do remember he was definitely hurt. I made a funny sign at one. Speaking about referees, it was a sign that said WCW's Three Blind Mice. It was Anderson, Pee Wee Anderson, Nick Patrick, and somebody else, because they were always missing calls and they were missing tags and stuff like that. And I drew three mice with referee shirts and big dark glasses and cups and canes. And
Zeus just want to get his ass kicked.
Well, I'm not scared of the referees, but there was one of the shows in Greensboro. I was holding that up, and Kevin Sullivan saw it, and he laughed his ass off.
Oh, I love Kevin Sullivan. He's awesome.
Yeah, and I can't remember who he was with, but he tapped somebody on his shoulder and pointed at it. He's like, that's hilarious.
Actually, speaking of Tommy Young, he takes the worst ref bumps. I mean, he'll get a little bump on his arm, and he's laying on the mat for 20 minutes. It's hysterical.
Oh yeah,
it's hysterical. He takes the worst bumps ever.
Yeah, he's like a 94-year-old grandmother.
Oh my God! Well,
Zero's here.
Yeah, Zero's here.
Zero, what's up, Zero? What's going on?
Hey, it's great to have him. All right, so are we ready for James?
Yeah, James. It's the main event, James.
It's not as good as your guys. But it was funny to me because I mean, half these things are. I'm either have a few soda pops at these events, so it's a little fuzzy, but it's good. I was at an ECW house show at the Elks Lodge in Queens. I'm going to say it was in the summer of '98, and this place only holds about 1,000, 1,200 people.
Right.
And so it's supposed to be a tag match. It's supposed to be. It was Big Dick Dudley, and it was Spike Dudley against Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman. So as often as ECW matches go, they actually never start out, exactly what they're supposed to be. Everybody and their mother gets involved. Exactly. So the Sandman is doing his entrance through the crowd. I mean, because it's not much of an entrance because it's a small venue. So it's very intimate, very personal. And before he could reach he can go over the barricade. out of nowhere comes Mikey Ripwreck, and he cracks the head, and he just beats the shit out of Sandman with a cane. So they're brawling throughout this, they're brawling, all in the cross, just flying all over the place. They're about 2 feet. They're about 2 feet away from me. So I'm drinking a beer in a cup. There's a whole bunch of people. They're all drinking their little beers in their little cups. And then here comes the Sandman. He starts grabbing people's beers and starts hitting Mikey Whipwreck with it. So he takes his one guy beer, he drinks it, and then boom, he just spits it in Mikey Whipwreck's face. So Mikey Whipwreck does the oversell, because he oversells it, and you're like, everybody's going crazy for the oversell. So here comes the Sandman grabbing people's beer. So I got my cup and I'm yelling. He grabbed my cup, he tilts it back to drink, and it's empty. And then he looks at me like, what the fuck? He does it just like that. He looks right in my face. And he throws the cup right back at me. I'm like, oh my God. And then he just grabs somebody else's beer. He chugs it. And then he spits it in a way where I don't know if he was aiming for Mikey or if he was aiming for me because I had the empty cup. So I had to duck a little bit out of the way. And, I was like, holy shit. The Sandman just spit beer at me? I was like, damn it, I should have sold it, I was more pissed off. I was more pissed off because I didn't sell it. So he keeps grabbing stuff, and I'm like, and I was so upset that my beer was empty because I wanted the Sandman to drink my beer. But the way he looked at me, he just said, be dead in the face, like, what the fuck? And he threw a cup right, and it bounced off the top of my forehead. And it just went bing, and I was like, oh my God. And he was just grabbing people's beers and eating them. And the tag match, I don't know if it was for lack of time, or if people were hurt, or if they were all just completely shit-faced drunk. That whole tag match never happened. Everybody started beating the shit out of everybody in the ring and in the stands, and it ended in one big schmoz. And everybody started drinking everybody else's beer from the stands. I don't know if this was planned by the wrestlers. I don't know if it was done on the spot. I don't know if it was improv. I don't know what it was, but it was awesome. And the whole crowd, everybody was just chanting ECW. And Tommy Dreamer's holding up cups, and Mikey Ripwreck was holding up a cup. The Sandman's holding up a cup. Big Dick Dudley's holding up a cup. Spike all the Dudleys came out. They were holding. It was amazing. It was amazing. So that's my little claim to fame, where I got a cup thrown at me by the Sandman, and he screamed, "What the fuck?" Because I had an empty beer cup.
This is amazing.
He's mad because you drank it.
Yeah, he's mad. He was pissed off because there was no beer in there. I said, I'm sorry, man, my bad.
I mean, that's a tried and true substance abusing alcoholic right there.
And he wrestled better when he was drunk, apparently. So it was awesome, He never missed a move. I mean, he was shit. I mean, I've been very close to the Sandman a few times. Okay, that's more than I'd like to say. Okay. I've had his sweat, his blood, and his beer literally on me. Okay, and I remember one time where I don't know if it was because of his gimmick that but he reeked of alcohol, and there's a difference between having beer poured on you smelling like beer and reeking of alcohol.
Yeah,
right. I mean, this man reeked of like Jack Daniels.
Oh wow.
And he got on the mic, and he passed right by me, and he stood by me, and he got on the mic and cut this promo where, he sounded like an English teacher. And I don't know how somebody that intoxicated could barely speak, much less wrestle. And he was on point.
Functioning alcoholics.
Yeah, functioning indeed.
I mean, it's just like...
It was just
so many of them.
And what even more pissed me off was that I was trying to find the cup that it was thrown at me. It was crushed at the bottom of somebody's feet, so I was upset. I wanted to take that home and have them sign it for me.
Oh yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, but it was crushed between some guy just totally crushed it, and But it was awesome. He was legit. I thought he was legitimately mad at me because I handed him an empty cup. He was pissed.
You were supposed to have 2 beers, James.
I know. Listen. I take full responsibility for my actions. I messed up. I did not provide the Sandman with the liquid encouragement that he needed. My bad.
You know what Ron Simmons would say, don't you?
Yes, I do. Damn.
Damn.
What kind of world is this when an alcoholic can even get a beer? I mean, it was brutal. But, those ECW shows in the Elks Lodge in Queens, and, I'm sure, the ones that Zeus have been through, and, the one that you've been through, Tex, too, all those small little house shows were always better than the ones you saw on TV.
The show I went to was a TV taping, actually.
Oh yeah, was it TV taping? Yeah. Because those shows, it was they didn't follow storyline, or it was loosely followed, I should say, and anything went. I mean,
because a lot of times they were just kind of carrying on things, without really, forwarding the story. It's
right, exactly.
You were still in this chapter in between, major pay-per-views or whatever.
And I went to because I've been to the ECW arena in Philly, and I've been to many house shows in New York and Queens and up in Buffalo, and there's no comparison to the ECW arena, hands down. But those house shows were something. They were a totally, completely different animal. Those guys. In those shows and all those guys wrestling, it was passion, and they truly did not give a shit. Anything went. I mean, they missed spots. They would do it over until they got it right. They would call themselves out. Oops, I fucked up. Boom, come on, let's do it again. It was like that. And you know what? And all the fans ate it up, and I ate it up, and everybody ate it up. It was awesome. It was awesome.
House shows are the best.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been to I've been to a Raw, Nitro, a SmackDown taping. I went to a WrestleMania, an ECW taping. But the house shows, the ECW taping felt like a house show in a way. But the house shows I went to for WWE and WCW, those were the best shows. You had the most fun at the house show.
I mean, I am not a fan of the TNA TV product. I am not. I am very vocal about it. I don't like the production. I don't like the pacing of the wrestling. I am not a fan of TNA TV product. But I've been to one of their house shows, and I can say, amazing. It blows the TV stuff out of the water. Amazing. It's just so that it's just awesome.
Well, that's kind of like the difference between when you don't need a manager micromanaging your product. When they're
right.
I mean, when you got so many people that have an idea of what things should be, and it's probably easy. It would probably be better and easier to stick to basics and things. That's probably why the house show is so good.
And all the house shows even have a better pacing. I mean, all the ECW house shows I've been through, it literally seemed like one match flowed into the next. And even though they were barely advancing storylines, okay, but it just had that flow to it. The TV tapes are different. You have to stop. They have an intermission. They have this. They have that. They have. And it's a little different flow to it,
Yeah, TNA Impact, that could be a whole conversation because they do so many things wrong. They try too much to be a competitor, right, to the WWE, and it's no one can really compete with the WWE in terms of what the WWE does today because no one has that money.
They have the best production values, period.
And I mean, no one's going to compete with them on that level. So it's better to make your own thing, to do your own
thing.
And
that's why Lucha Underground is such.
I'll tell you this. I tell you this, I've been dying to go to a Lucha Underground show. I mean, I've been dying to go to Temple, as everybody knows. I bitch and moan and complain about going, right? I've
Right.
been to an NXT show, and I've been to an NXT house show, and I can imagine that's what Lucha Underground is almost like. I mean, I mean, the NXT house shows they're no joke. Yeah, no, well, I don't know about now, but like I went to one about 2 years ago. There was no barricades. There was no anything. You know, they
Oh,
had the
wow.
lights and the stuff. It was real stripped down. You know, and the wrestlers are getting involved with the fans. The fans are getting involved with the wrestlers. You know, like they did. You know, like it was good. It was good. And and that's why Lucha Underground is so unique now these days. It's because it has a house show feel, but with television production values. You know?
Yeah.
I'm the guy that's not paying for the network, so I'll have to take your word.
I pay for the network. Yeah, okay, shoot me. It's because I do it. Oh, Zeus, I do it because of the old school content. I mean, you got Mid
I know.
South, World Class. You got old school AWA, NWA, all of that stuff. All of that stuff. You know.
Yeah, and they just put a bunch of Thunder tapings on there too.
Yeah. And I do it for NXT. I'm not a big WWE guy, but I have to give props to the network because all the old school stuff is amazing, man. Amazing.
I haven't watched any of this, and this is like a blind spot in my wrestling fandom. But they have all the Smoky Mountain wrestling stuff.
Yeah, SMW. Yep. Tracy Smothers. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked so unhappy the time I saw him when he was, in the full-blooded Italians.
Man, let me tell you something. I love that gimmick, even though Zeus, you're right. He hated it. He hated it.
I mean, and the really funny thing was, I mean, he was probably more over in that than he was in other stuff he'd done.
Yeah, he was more over in ECW than he was in SMW. It's weird.
Hey,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, I mean, that, it's like just any house show, I mean, has that, that magical atmosphere where, like James said, anything can happen.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to so many shows, and, it would be like, who was wrestling? What was the main event? At some point, I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because because unless it's WWE house show, it is not as advertised. I mean, like an ECW show barely follow their own program.
Yeah.
And it was great like that though. It was great.
Well, it's like that first house show I went to for ECW was in Concord, and
Right.
You kind of knew who was going to be there overall by who'd been on TV, but like Tommy Rogers from the Fantastics teamed with Chris Chetty.
Chris Chetty, I remember him.
Yeah, and Taz's cousin or nephew or whatever it was. But like Tommy Dreamer showing up, that was different and pretty unexpected. And then and he was wearing a All Japan Pro Wrestling Adidas jacket.
Hell yeah.
That's hot. That's hot. That's how you do it.
Yeah, when he came to the ring, and then and there was Justin Credible versus Tommy Dreamer, and that was when he had Jason with him and Jazz before she had a name. Wasn't that her name, Jazz?
Yeah.
And so of course, like Tommy Dreamer's throwing everything in the kitchen sink at all three of them, and then out of nowhere, here comes fucking One Man Gang.
Oh,
One Man Gang. Oh, come on, that's
One
hot.
Man Gang shows up out of nowhere. I'm like,
how long did it take him to get to the ring?
about a half hour. But I mean, but it's like he hadn't been on TV.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't on TV, and he hadn't been on TV, and it's like here he is, kind of shows up and he fucking takes out Tommy Dreamer and just incredible.
That's why house shows on the best. Hey, I saw Tommy Dreamer at a house show hit somebody with a Nintendo, and then actually try to take the control, and then actually try to take the controller of the Nintendo and that's somebody in their pants like that. I mean, I see some weird shit by Tommy Dreamer. Let me tell you.
Wow.
That's why house shows are the best. They're crazy.
Another thing from that first ECW house show I went to. Do you remember the ECW magazine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I used to subscribe to it.
The first issue of that ECW magazine, the vast majority of that photography was taken at that show.
Really?
Oh wow.
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Well, see, I mean, that's why house shows are awesome.
Yeah, and one of the guys, there was these two guys in the front row, and one of them had this crazy red hair and beard, and he had a baseball cap on with those flaps on the side of it, like he's in the desert or something. It's really weird. But he had this sign that said, "I'm the bastard son of Sabu."
Son of Sabu.
Yeah, and then he was with this other dude, and I saw the same guy at the Charlotte house show a while later, and I went and talked to him, and I was like, "Hey, man," I was like, he saw you in the magazine and everything at the show, and he's like, "Oh, cool." I said, he said, "I'm trying to become a writer." I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." He said, "Yeah." He said, I did the WoW magazine interview with Sable.
I love those WoW magazines. They were awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, "How was that?" And he said, "Totally sucked. She was a bitch. She didn't want to do it."
Yeah.
And she gave me the shortest, just worst answers possible. And I'm like, wow, that's, I mean, you never know, but it's like, wow, this bitch goes on to marry Brock Lesnar, who's a
I heard horror stories about Sable. I heard she's a full-tilt diva.
Yeah.
You know the nicest person I met is actually Dudley Boys.
Oh wow!
Even doing the big time heel run.
Oh yeah.
Even when they were the nasties at the ECW, and I mean they were nasty. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
After the show, they hang out, they say what's up, they sign shit. One of my friends actually got his belt signed by them. They took pictures. Bubba Ray had a beer with my friend one day at a bar. I mean, they're really down to earth and really cool.
When at that Charlotte show, I was hanging around afterwards, and the Dudleys that night had come to the ring with some local strippers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they were like, any of you guys want a piece of us? After the show tonight, we'll kick all your asses at whatever the hell the name of it was. And after the show, we're standing around, and I'm talking to Rob because that's a different story. But I'm talking to Rob Van Dam, and some guys walk by and they see Bubba Ray and they're like, "Hey, Bubba, we'll see you over at the club." And this woman, who I'm assuming was Bubba's girlfriend or old lady or something at the time, she literally grabbed him by the ear and said, "You're not going anywhere but our hotel room after this."
Oh, dang.
And I mean, he like hung his head like, okay.
Yes, Bubba.
Yeah. I was like, yep. I was like, I see it.
Who wears the belts in that family?
Yeah.
Well, that's why the house shows are awesome. I mean, like that NWA house show I went to. I mean, I saw Lasertron wrestle twice. I mean, who would think that? Man. I barely saw him on TV, but here he is wrestling twice in one night. So that's why people should always go to the shows.
The house show from where I brought back the Four Fairies poster.
I'm gonna blow that up. That's awesome.
Luger wrestled twice that night. He wrestled. He wrestled Big Cat.
Very lad.
No.
Oh, you mean yeah.
Curtis.
Yeah, Curtis Hughes or
Curtis Hughes.
Yeah.
And I called him a big fat when he was going back to the ring. He turned around and glared at me like he was going to kill me.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
And,
that's a big guy, Zeus. Easy.
Yeah, and so Luger won that match, and then the main event was it was supposed to be Terry Taylor and somebody against Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, and whoever Terry Taylor was supposed to team with didn't show up. So next thing you know, Luger's music's queuing up again. He comes out, and they wrestled Flair and Anderson. And Flair was outside the ring chopping Taylor, I think. And he looks at me, he sees that sign, he's like, I hate that fucking sign. He's like, how would you like if I took your woman home to make a woman, or took your girl and make a real woman?
You're gonna take her home to Space Mountain. Woo!
Yeah. She's like, you already offered in Greensboro. I turned you down there. Really hated it.
That could have been a hot storyline right there. That could have been a hot storyline. I hated Lex Luger. I can't stand him. But I never thought he looked better when he was in the ring with Flair. I mean, Flair made him look so good. He put him over so much. But I couldn't stand him. I thought he was immobile. I thought he didn't sell. I thought he was too stiff.
Oh, yeah, and he was in terrible.
He was horrible. He was horrible. Yeah, he was blown up within the first 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that. Like when him and Barry would team together, it's like Luger would come out and, yeah, like you said, 3 minutes he'd be gassed, and then Barry would get the crap beat out of him and carry the rest of the match for the next 20 minutes. And then Luger gets the hot tag for the finish.
And it was like every match I've ever seen, it was Flair and Luger. All Flair did was run around and take bumps and fly all over the place, and Luger stood still.
They said that was Flair did that with Junkyard Dog too.
Yeah.
Junkyard Dog literally never left his feet one night because he told Rick, he's like, man, my knees kill me tonight. Flair's like, that's fine, I got you, buddy. And he just bounced off him the whole time.
At least JYD was over, and he had bad knees, but Luger, there was no excuse for him.
Yeah.
Oh no.
He was horrible.
Yeah, I tell you, when he was a face, though, I think that he was better as a face because, when he was a heel, it's like he was just kind of being himself, which a lot of people thought he was a dick.
Yeah,
but when he was a face, and I would see him make connections with the fans and smile and point at them, and it's like you just see little kids
he was interactive. He was very
really
interactive. Yeah,
liked it.
Cool.
I mean, he was really well liked.
That's cool.
And I mean, I got this one picture of him where he's smiling, and I mean, it's just I just remember all these kids, all these kids just going nuts for him and Sting,
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's you don't see the faults in the guys that you like, I mean, especially little kids, but that was.
Well, there's certain wrestlers who are good for certain types of things. I mean, he was great at fan interaction. I mean, he was amazing. He was amazing with the kids. Luger, he was good. In the ring was another story. As Sting, he was awesome with the fans, but he was good in the ring. Yeah. He was good in the ring. I heard he was temperamental at times in the ring, but he was good, I felt bad for Sting in that TNA title match for him and Jeff Hardy. When Jeff Hardy was completely shit-faced on pills. Yeah, I felt so bad for Sting, man. And you saw it on his face. I mean, he doesn't deserve that. Maybe Luger deserved that, but not Sting.
I was thinking about Sting in his TNA run because the Impact from this Thursday, they had that casket match between Su Yung and Ali. And first off, that match was terrible.
Yeah, it was.
To any fans and stuff. I'm not trashing them. Well, I'm gonna trash Ali, but she was awful. I've seen multiple things with Ali, and enjoy none of them. Her offense in the ring is always just so it's so
Zero is
like
her hero.
it's like so slow and has like no impact. Like none of her moves have impact. It's terrible. But
Again, though,
anyway,
Pedro, hold on. Again, it could be the TV way of producing shows. You know,
yeah,
because
but
they're horrible. They're
could,
horrible at TV.
could be. But then that Impact Lucha Underground match from WrestleMania weekend between her and Taya is the same story
Yeah,
again.
it was. It was. I agree. It was.
She's
Yeah.
terrible. But anyways, after that match, they showed a bit of a casket match between Sting and Abyss, and Sting is just like bleeding profusely, and he's taking these stupid bumps, like the casket's all the lid is all caved in from Sting being thrown on it and all this shit. And I was thinking like he must have been wondering like, why the fuck am I giving my 5 pounds of flesh to fucking TNA? Like that had to cross his mind at some point, especially with Abyss.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's some really. I'm sure between the three of us, we probably have seen some horrible matches too. Some real shit shows. I could imagine.
I've seen some bad stuff, but it didn't leave as big a mark on me as the amount of good stuff I've seen.
Oh, but I can say the same. You know what? And thank God. But I've seen. I feel bad for people who were in attendance on that Raw that day when it was Buff Bagwell versus Booker T. That was a complete breakdown.
Oh man.
I've seen some. There's just some nasty stuff. Like really, like what the hell happened? Like I've heard stories. I've heard stories how there are a lot of wrestlers who used to have to carry Von Erich because he was like he was on another planet at times.
Yeah.
He was really like zoomed out somewhere, zoned out.
But and that's the thing too, is like he could be so one way or the other, because like you look at what he would do. How many guys do you see at any point in time in the last 30 years ever go and get in the ring, check the ring ropes, and then with their hands adjust those screws to the tightness that they wanted?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, again, a little out there, a little hello.
Yeah, but
that's insane. That's insane.
And world class. They had no. Their security was a joke, and they had, they literally had a piece of kite string holding the.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah,
I'm like, you should have just put an invisible line up or something. They sat down out of the politeness, out of Southern, politeness is why they didn't, rush the ring every 5 seconds, because they were just that, raised to be polite. But, they would run up to the ring to get autographs before the matches started back in the Sportatorium. They were signing autographs.
You can't do that now.
You can't. No, you can't stand in front of the ring and just go, "Hey, can you sign this for me?" It's like, but they did that.
It's so different now. It's so everybody's like, especially with WWE wrestlers, even NXT people, everybody's hands off. Everybody's considered a superstar or a celebrity now. Back in the day when I used to go to all the old school ECW house shows, these weren't celebrities and superstars.
Right.
These were guys who had jobs Monday through Friday. Right.
Danny Doring was not a superstar.
Exactly. That's him and Amish Roadkill. Okay. These are guys who delivered my pizza during the week and then wrestled on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? These weren't celebrities. Come on. And like now it's like, oh my God, they're this and that. That's why I think
I think that was really as another thing that changed the business was actually referring to WWF wrestlers as WWF superstars. It's like they're referring to everybody as, it's like, no, it's like, well, this guy's kind of a star, but I wouldn't call him a superstar.
They created celebrities in their own ranks.
Right, yeah.
Because they're making movies, they put them on TVs, they do commercials, they endorse products, right?
Yeah, but even for the ones who weren't doing that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Superstars, exactly, yeah.
I mean, just calling everybody a superstar, crazy.
Like Ty Dillinger, yeah.
Yeah. 10.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah, we got Flousmaker is in the chat talking about
Flouse, what's up?
They let kids play and wrestle in the ring before the show and the halftime.
That's awesome.
I remember seeing that at that Concord show. They let some of the guys that helped put the ring up that night run the ropes and do some little flips and bumps in the ring.
Gotta give a quick shout out to everybody in the chat. Gotta give a quick shout out to everybody in the chat first. YYHH Flowers and Zeus in the house. What's up?
Did you guys see the fan art that Iki-kun did for Mr. and Mrs. Johnny and Taya Hennigan?
No, I have to see that.
Yeah,
I have not seen it yet.
Taya put it on her Instagram story.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that was very cool. It's just a little cute little bride and groom, but it's just cute. But I thought that was awesome that she passed that along to everybody else. Hundreds of thousands of people have seen it now, so it's pretty cool.
I think we got to start booking some matches between us and our whole Lucha clique and the wrestling community at large here on Twitter. Let's got to start booking matches. Zeus, I'm going to commission you to make a belt. I think we got to break out a Dungeon Master dice, and just go at it.
Yeah, we'll have a trios tag title.
There you go. I want to wear a mask.
It'd be you, me, and Pedro against. We'll have to face Casey and Justin and Meef.
I'm gonna be the worst partner. I'm just gonna be constantly.
Dante Oblivion will be special ref.
I'll be constantly making excuses to not tag in. I'll be like, "Oh, my shoelaces."
That's where we'd really be in trouble because Way Too Real, they got two, guys.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we'd have to work on Dante. Tagging in CJ De Niro and Mil Machetes.
I don't want none of Mil Machetes. I give him to you, Zeus. He's all yours. Go ahead.
But now Dante used to play rugby and stuff, I think, so he may not be so easy to work over.
I'm just saying he's the guy on paper.
Our team is formidable too. I play a little college ball, so we're good to go.
Yeah. So, what are we going to talk about next week?
I can still drop kick, I think.
Next week we might be talking about Lucha Underground because it's the last weekend before Lucha Underground comes back, so we should maybe do like
how about to do that's right. Yeah, unfortunately, guys, I don't know if I'm gonna be making it next week or because it's my birthday weekend and I'll be traveling.
Yeah, birthday weekend.
Yeah, I'll be in South Beach. I'll be in Key West. I'll be roaming the beaches somewhere. I'll have sand between my toes and a beer between my fingers. You know what I'm saying?
Oh hell yeah! Well, Zeus and I will come up with something. We'll talk about something.
Yeah.
Here's something. Here's a thought.
We're brainstorming live for everyone.
You're brainstorming live. Here we go.
The never released Rob Van Dam comic book.
Oh, you know what? I remember those.
I was the first guy.
I saw a picture of those online.
I was the first guy he collaborated with.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Zeus.
We got to hear that.
That's another T-shirt. I collaborated with RVD.
Yep. So I got
420. I collaborated.
420. I collaborated.
I still got the original pages. I got the art that inspired the whole thing. I got his email talking about it.
That's awesome, Zeus. That's good job, man. Good work.
We got to hear
So-
this story next week. But
Yes.
for this week, it's time to say adios. Thank you to everyone in the chat room and everyone.
Bye, guys. I'll see everybody on Twitter. Have a happy Lucha week. Let's talk wrestling. Let's keep it up. Let's have a good weekend.
Yeah, make sure next weekend to send lots of happy birthdays to James Extreme Sarno.
Yes, I'll be getting hit over the chair. Okay. I will be taking chair shots for my birthday. Thank you very much.
Just take some Jello shots.
Yeah.
A little bit of both, Zeus. A little bit of both. Either way, I will sell them both. I'll sell them both.
I'm like, oh, I gotta pull up this thing. Okay, we'll see y'all next time. Adios.
All right, guys. Woo.
Later. Thank you.